First one was down the middle for me. Again, not good, not bad. And the only reason I say it's not bad is because the guy right above me, my fellow bald guy, at least in the role he's playing, Jim Carrey, a.k.a. Eggman or Dr. Robotnik. Because he was carrying most of the movie, Sonic 1 I'm referring to, with his jokes, with Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey like that. So that's really what I enjoyed the most and what I recall fondly from Sonic 1. My biggest problem with Sonic 1 was Sonic having too many puns, and like I said in that review, making too many pop culture references unnecessarily throughout, which was, peppered throughout the whole fucking movie. I'm sure part of the script. You can't really fight that as an audience viewer, but it's like, I get it, Sonic could be quippy, like in the games, and or, a little like sarcastic, haha, as he likes to do in the games, but they overdid it with the puns and the lame jokes that don't fucking land 95% of the time in Sonic 1. Sonic 2 now. I will say this before we delve into the story, which is basically just, so from the first one, right, he beats Robotnik, of course he does. Robotnik, Dr. Eggman, of course, Jim Carrey, gets transported over to a mushroom planet to, I guess, become fungi, get devoured by fungi, I guess it seems like. I can't help but think maybe that's a light little jab at Nintendo and, the Mario being in the Mushroom Kingdom and shit. Maybe, who knows? It might have been just a coincidence, but to be sent to rot or whatever mushrooms do when they're about to die, sent to a mushroom planet. But he makes his way out because he's an evil genius. He takes one of Sonic's quills with him, uses that to fucking power up one of his equipment thingies he used, like he's been building for over, I think in the movie it said 243 days is what it took until he finally made his way back to open a portal to make his way back to Green Hill Zone and or Earth, where Sonic is now, after the first movie. As he's making his way through the portal, we get introduced to Knuckles, who's looking for him, apparently, because he's the path that'll lead him to Sonic and or the Master Emerald, which Knuckles is after this time. And now we get introduced to the two driving forces that carry most of the movie, I'll say in all honesty, which is, of course, Jim Carrey as Eggman and or Robotnik. I still call him Robotnik because that's like, from my time when I played Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2 on the Sega Genesis. As he was, the one that bared most of the weight as far as the comedy and the entertainment value, Jim Carrey, thanks to him. But now we get introduced to just as epic, just as funny, and probably even funnier than Robotnik. Because I will say this too, like, I love Jim Carrey, I always have. But Jim Carrey, sometimes when he gets too into his Jim Carrey shtick, can overdo it sometimes. Let's say if, like, Robotnik had, like, 30 jokes, just throw a number out there. If he had, like, 30 jokes in total throughout the movie, I'd say 25 of them were great and or work for the character, and it's just fine as Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey. 5 of them might have been like, he's overdoing it now. He's like too in his bag. He's too deep into the character, getting lost too far deep into it, right? Not the case with Knuckles. Just the right amount of lines and or quips from Knuckles throughout the movie, thanks to Idris Elba, who's a great voice actor overall, good-looking man and shit, and can just play off that accent too. It's not like he has a crazy thick British accent, but the fact that he's one of those British actors that can just like kind of turn it off to play whatever role they tell him to play here in the good old US of A and shit. It's not like you wouldn't ever think, oh God, I never would have guessed I was Idris Elba, but it is a very good job, well done, investing into the role to become Knuckles. So he's funny throughout, he's great. They meet, they team up. The plan is basically together. Robotnik's going to help Knuckles go get the Master Emerald. That's what he's been pursuing the whole time. As they showed in the first movie, Knuckles and or his people / breed of, anamorphic animals, the Echidna, were the ones going to war with the tribe that protected Sonic from when he was little Sonic, the Owl people or the Longhorns. Longclaw was the name of the owl adoptive mother that Sonic had, that went to war with Knuckles' dad, apparently, And in that great war of who would control the Master Emerald, they all died. So then Knuckles was orphaned, and so was Sonic. But Knuckles is not brainwashed, but convinced to think that it was Sonic's fault that his dad died and didn't allow him to go into war with his dad like he really wanted to. There's a cute, adorable little Knuckles shows up on screen with a little cowboy hat and his spear ready to go to war like that. As did Sonic, and he lost his adoptive owl mother, of all things, in that great war, the echidnas versus the owls. But Sonic wasn't bred to hate nobody. He was just bred to, like, not bred, but raised on motivating himself enough to find out what happened, who did it, and I don't know, just live the rest of his life. And the end goal for Longclaw was for Sonic to end up on Earth, which he did. Green Hill Zone, meets with Tom and his beautiful black girlfriend. Now, I think fiance towards the end, or I think she stayed girlfriend, or I forget if they were married too, but she was a piece of ass. And she is a piece of ass. Shout out to her, I don't remember her name. But I love the diversity of the Sonic universe, at least in the movie universe, where it's a biracial couple that adopt, in other words, a blue alien hedgehog. And now, on top of that, we get introduced to Tails, who's been a fan of Sonic, who's been surveilling him for the longest time from a whole nother planet, apparently, and has to interfere once he finds out that Knuckles is on the hunt for Sonic. So he comes to Earth. He's able to invent his own little portal, his own little shit and everything, and find Sonic. So now, not only are Tom and his beautiful black girlfriend the adoptive parents of Sonic, the blue alien hedgehog, but also the just probably more adorable, honestly, because he's smaller, more compact, and bigger-eyed and shit, the adorable double-tailed fox from a whole nother planet, of course, named Tails. Miles Tails Prower. Shout out to him. I've always been a big fan of Tails. Adorable character. He did look awkward during his introduction. I didn't know. It's like they didn't know how to draw him right. His face looks weird, like in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, where he was first introduced, and the cartoon as well. And he was like a shade of brown, or I don't know what color they were going for. But over time, Tails has become a very adorable character. And you know, I'm a man. I can admit that. I can say that with all my whole chest. Tails is adorable. And so is young Knuckles. And so is baby Sonic. And all of them too. I'm a fan of the fucking baby versions of fucking these mascots. Why not? We're in a day and age we can animate them to look good. Why not? So, you know, Trouble Pursues, of course. Sonic teams up with Tails. They're getting chased down by Eggman and Knuckles until they find the Master Emerald. Eggman then betrays Knuckles because that's all he really wanted, because Knuckles let him on, mention to Eggman that the Master Emerald grants you your every wish so long as you possess it and hold it in your hands, which Eggman wants to obviously kill Sonic because he banished him to the Mushroom Planet. Grabs a hold of it, betrays Knuckles in the fucking underwater temple they find where the Master Emerald is to begin with. He leaves Knuckles to die. He's getting pinned down by some pillars underwater, so it's pretty much RIP for Knuckles until Sonic goes and saves him. They work together to push the shit off. Sonic does save Knuckles. Knuckles goes back down to save Sonic because he can't swim, but he's like too afraid to swim, or he's willingly drowning like that. So the fastest thing alive, he literally run on water. He's so fast, but he dies as soon as he goes into water, if he's in the water too long, because, you know, God forbid, all his motor skills go out the door once he's in deep enough water, I guess. I've always hated that part about the Sonic games, and I always hated the water levels too. I know a lot of people ain't necessarily fans of those either. Oh yeah, I forgot there was a downhill chase scene in the snow when they're initially looking for the Master Emerald. They find like a hidden temple of the owl people, Long Claw, I think her name was, the adoptive mother of Sonic, who happened to be an owl. They blow that shit up. There's a whole downhill chase scene in the snow. Sonic has to make the little quip when Knuckles appears on his own little fucking board. Snowboard? Yeah, snowboard. Like, oh, look, it's a Winter Soldier kind of thing, which current reference enough where people will probably get it, but it's like, okay, there was no need for that. Another example of just too many puns, too many quips from Sonic that don't necessarily work. At the beginning of the movie, there is another chase scene where, you know, he's trying to be a vigilante. He's on his Batman shit. He's trying to stop a armored truck from getting robbed. He is able to do it, but, you know, it's a whole mess. It's a whole bunch of quips. He's doing it to the soundtrack of It's Tricky by Run DMC, which, you know, great enough song, but goddamn, it's been in games and movies, shows, used. And another example of one of those songs that are just like the safer alternative slash go-to, like they're too reliant on that song, knowing that people like it enough that they won't immediately dismiss it, but it's been used so much, it's like, come on. There's a whole fucking spectrum of music, catalog of music, untapped, undiscovered, unused in movies you can go to and run to and use, but okay, go with what's safe and familiar, like a bad ex. Go with the dick that's safe and familiar, I guess. But, I like to think Sega had enough of a budget to afford a lot of things to make Sonic and Knuckles and Tails look as good as they do, considering their CGI in the movie. There should have been enough left over to afford some songs that were worth it and not the common go-to that have been overused in so many other movies. Like my whole gripe with the Mario Bros. Movie, which I feel is better than this one, and the first one as well. They used too many songs that were too familiar, too well-known, and just like corny, low effort, like Holding Out for a Hero. I forget the name of a singer who did that one. Been used too many times already. Take on Me, when they get introduced to the, what was his name? Fancy Kong or something? When they're making their way down to the Kong Kingdom and, Mario versus Donkey Kong ensues. That song's way too familiar. Just, I would have loved just like what they did throughout points in the movie, like an orchestral version of the Mario soundtrack and all familiar themes from the Mario universe. That would have been fine, but also, again, in this movie, there's a lot of going on. There's a dance battle in Siberia where Tails looks obscenely, insanely adorable in his little like ski snow get-up outfit. He's like head to toe covered in like a puffer jacket with like the big ass ski goggles on. He looks adorable. I'm like surprised there hasn't been like a plush or at least like a little mannequin figure of that look, that version of Tails. But yeah, I totally buy it. It's fucking epic. They have a dance battle, and of course the song of the time that was taking over the charts not too far removed from the release of the movie was Bruno Mars' Uptown Funk, which, at least it's more current. It was a hit. But if you watch the movie more than twice, it's like, okay, I've had enough of this fucking song. Because it was like just taking over the radio, taking over, YouTube and everywhere else possible when it was out, and it was big. And speaking of the music, though, however, I believe this is where Jim Carrey flexed his muscle the most, his presence as like a very key, essential part to the movie, and thank God, because he does a great job as Eggman here and in the first one. He used, of all things, Pantera, Walk, which is an epic fucking song to use if you're a wrestling fan like I've been, which was Rob Van Dam's, I believe, first and or only theme in ECW. He had another one, I think, after that, but that was the one that was more directly linked to Rob Van Dam during his ECW time, and just a great song in general too, but just a pleasant surprise to hear that. Like, I can't imagine like the young kids that have no idea what that song is, but their parents who are also Sonic fans and got dragged into watching Sonic 2 with them, some of them might have been pleasantly surprised to hear like this is of course after he finally gets the Master Emerald. He wishes for his big ass robotic like 20-story ton version of himself in a robot to be able to destroy Sonic, which he's almost able to do finally, because Sonic's Knuckles sneaks in, he knocks the Master Emerald out of fucking Robotnik, but he still got his robot, just not powered by the Chaos Emerald anymore. Chaos Emerald goes loose, Sonic's able to grab it, but it falls to pieces. It's like he doesn't believe in it enough, and just about when he's about to get squashed to absolutely nothing, like how you squash on a roach on the floor, him, Tom, and the pretty-ass black girlfriend about to get squashed by the big-ass Robotnik robot. The Master Emerald rebuilds itself via the 7 Chaos Emeralds, puts itself back together. We get Super Sonic. He goes Super Saiyan, how he goes golden and shit. Comes, flies, takes the top off the robot like a can opener. Robotnik's trying his best to beat the shit out of him, but of course gets destroyed at the end because of Super Sonic. How could he fucking beat Super Sonic, right? That's the whole point of the movie. Sonic 2, Super Sonic. He goes Super Sonic. Now Knuckles, he's teaming up with Sonic and Tails. They all live happily ever after in Green Hill Zone with Tom and the pretty-ass black girlfriend. They're playing baseball. Knuckles doesn't understand the concept of baseball, and I don't either, or why baseball has to be like 4 or 5 hours long every time you see a fucking game. I can't even watch that shit. I'd rather play it, but I don't ask me to ever sit through a fucking game on TV or in person. I'm going to fall right asleep, to be honest. And then in the end credits, like I mentioned earlier, we finally get a glimpse of a full in-our-face look at Shadow the Hedgehog, or Project Shadow, as they mentioned it to be, which sets up the movie, of course, for an obvious third inclusion. You know, the first one did good. This one did good as well. To be exact, it did, I know the Mario Bros. Movie did more than it the year after when it released in 2023. I'm looking for the amount right now. It grossed $405 million worldwide. Sonic 2, the movie, did, referring to, which at that point made it the highest grossing video game film in the U.S. until, like I just mentioned, the Mario Bros. Movie from 2023 outdid it. And I forget the critic review for this one, or for Mario. I know for Mario Bros. The biggest critique was, again, there was no story, no real, like, kind of fleshed out, you know, thing to look forward to like that. But again, it's Mario. It doesn't need a fucking story. Neither does Sonic. Sonic 1 could have been a lot worse had it not had Jim Carrey as Eggman. And Sonic 2, the good thing about Sonic 2 in comparison is at least they knew to have fun with this one. It's still unfunny a lot of times, or the jokes just don't land like that with all the puns and quips from Sonic. But now you got two actual funny sources of material from Eggman and Knuckles, both played by great comedic actors in their own right, to make up for Sonic. You know, it outweighs Sonic's stupid puns or nonsensical ass puns, unnecessary jokes and shit. So that helps a lot. And it moves the story along too. Maybe not 2 hours worthy. I'd say like an hour 45 would have been fine to like get to the point, because it does kind of drag in and out. But overall, not bad. The characters look good. Jim Carrey's funny. Idris Elba's funny. Sonic is annoying sometimes with his jokes. But overall, it kind of moves not as fast as you would hope. But again, 2 hours a little too much. An hour 45 would have been, I think, you know, hitting the spot. And in comparison to the first one, yes, I do obviously enjoy this one more. Because again, as I mentioned, Knuckles, Eggman together, they're funny. The movie progresses better. The story ain't necessarily better either, but at least it kind of flows, and there's Tails too as well, so it's not just Sonic pun, Sonic quip, Eggman actual funny line, Eggman being evil and funny kind of thing. There's a whole multitude of factors that help kind of divvy up the attention from just Sonic and being unfunny and or pun heavy like it was in the first movie. So out of a 2, I'd give Sonic the Hedgehog 2 a 1.25, so slightly better than the first one. I'd say it's good. And if you're a Sonic fan, you will enjoy it. If you're not, it might not be for you. It's not the greatest animated thing ever, obviously, but it's a step below the Mario Bros. Movie from 2023.
Yo, it's over. All right, it's over. It's over. Move the mic. Move the mic.
Thank you.
All right.